YouTube, what's good? What's hood, man? It's y'all favorite hood partner, Big Nina Boy. And we back cracking with another one. Hey, look, man. So today, man, we got to take it back down to Suge Knight and Diddy, man. So Suge Knight, man, he out there going hard saying Diddy ain't who he say he is. So we already know that Diddy dislikes Suge Knight. Suge Knight always been cherry picking on Diddy, but Suge Knight got some ish to say. So it's time to hit play. Let's get to it. Let's go. 5, 4, Trey, Deuce, 1. Let's roll.
Most important thing is there's got to be a solution, because this has been going on in the industry for a whole bunch of years, for decades. And at the same time, nobody wants this to be true, and it shouldn't have to be true.
Suge Knight, the founder of Death Row Records and one-time enemy of Sean Diddy Combs, talks about Combs' arrest by the feds in an interview with News Nation. I look at what the one-time record company owner said about Combs from behind prison walls. Welcome to Crime Fix. I'm Anjanette Levy. Suge Knight doesn't hold back. He might be in prison for killing a man, running him down with a car in Compton, but that doesn't mean he's not sharing what's on his mind, especially when it comes to Sean Combs. Combs, of course, is in a federal prison right now, being held without bond following his arrest on sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy charges. Combs has pleaded not guilty to those charges, which appear at this point to involve one victim, Cassie Ventura, Combs' longtime ex-girlfriend, who sued him last November. Combs settled that lawsuit the next day. Then came a flurry of other lawsuits filed by other accusers, including women and even a man, record producer Rodney Little Rod Jones. The accusers claimed they were drugged and sexually assaulted by Combs. Combs has denied.
So this what I take from that, though, right? Catch this, though, too. So if they able to catch him in the lie in regards to these, these freak offs, right? These FOs, right? Which men are being involved in this, which will confirm that Diddy is openly gay. You know what I mean? And that's his prerogative. But at the same time, Joe, all that licking your lips and calling other men daddy and all that, this is just example of, people have their personal preferences, but, they hide in the closet. So what y'all think, Chad? Y'all think, you know what I'm saying? I mean, what do y'all think? What do y'all actually think? Do y'all think Diddy is gay? Or do y'all think Diddy, all this is just fraudulent? This could be a lie. You know what I'm saying? Somebody just want to see this man fall. We don't know. Drop your opinions in the comment section. Let's go.
Denied ever sexually assaulting anyone, but a video aired by CNN in May showed that Combs beat Cassie Ventura in a hotel hallway back in 2016. This happened in Los Angeles. Combs apologized a couple of days later on Instagram. So what does Suge Knight have to say about this? And why is anyone interested in what he has to say? Well, Knight and Combs go way back, and it wasn't always pretty. In the mid-90s, there was the so-called East Coast-West Coast feud where Combs had rapper Biggie Smalls at Bad Boy Records, and Knight had signed Tupac Shakur at his Death Row Records. Shakur was murdered in Vegas in 1996, and Biggie Smalls was shot to death in LA the following spring. But that was a long time ago, almost 30 years ago now, and we're talking about what's going on today and the allegations being made against Sean Combs. Suge Knight is currently doing time in a California prison for running over a man and killing him. He'll be eligible for parole in 2034. Knight might be behind bars, but that doesn't mean he's not doing things or that he's staying quiet. He actually has a lot to say.
We just have to really work hard back today.
Suge Knight actually hosts a podcast entitled Collect Call with Suge Knight, where he calls from prison and talks about a lot of things. And this week, he called Chris Cuomo on News Nation, and he had a lot to say about Sean Combs and what's going on with his case and the allegations of sex trafficking being made against him. One thing he talked about is whether or not he believes Sean Combs is safe being in jail. Sean Combs didn't want to be in jail. He wanted to post bail, a bail of $50 million, but the judge denied that request. He's in the MDC, and that's a federal prison with a really awful reputation. Knight was asked whether he thinks Combs is safe behind bars.
I don't ever want to say he's in danger, and neither should he say that. Because once he gets to the point where they feel he's going to be suicidal to himself, harmful to himself, Once they put him on suicide watch, you had a right to nothing. No socks, no drawers, no T-shirt, no blanket, no sheets. You asshole naked in a cell as a crazy man. So he definitely don't want to do that. And the other advice I would tell him, maybe he should get on the Jewish diet. Because the kosher meals is way better than the food somebody else is making for you. At least they're going to come hot. They're going to come sealed, and you got to be the one to open them. That's very important.
What about people trying to hurt him?
Go to jail. One of the things is this. I don't care who you are. Prison and jail is a negative environment. If somebody can do something to them and get a name for themselves, they're going to actually do it. Or they can do whatever they feel they got to do to prove themselves. But we also got to learn. We got to learn from our mistakes. Everything don't have to be a mistake. You got to better yourself. But we all know what we sign up for in life.
Suge Knight is obviously in prison, and we know a lot about him because he's a celebrity, of course. He grew up in Compton. He played football at UNLV, and then he came back to Compton and founded Death Row Records. But do you want to know more about him, maybe about his criminal and traffic records? I went to Truthfinder to see what I could find. Suge's first name is really Marion. I put in Marion Knight, and his criminal and traffic records come up. It shows Suge Knight was charged in 1994 with felony second-degree robbery and a misdemeanor in 2010. Now he's serving time for killing a man by hitting him with his car. Even if you're not in true crime, Truthfinder can show you things from a person's past and registered sex offenders near you. Also, you can use it to see what's online about yourself. You can get 50% off right now of confidential background reports. Just log on to truthfinder.com/LCCrimeFix and start accessing information about almost anyone. Now, I mentioned earlier that there was bad blood between Suge Knight and Sean Combs many years ago. But both Knight and Combs are fathers, and what happens to them impacts their children. Knight talked about how Combs being in prison is likely impacting his kids and the accusers in the case, how this might be impacting their children as well.
Well, first of all, I'm not calling you and nobody else getting nobody to believe anything regarding him. Like I said, and I always say, me personally, I don't jump up and down and cheer for no black man going to prison or any other man, any other human being going to prison. Because people think prison is always the answer. I'm not saying a lot of people don't deserve to do their time and see what's going on. But at the same time, that's not no cheerful thing, because when you look at it, that man have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever affects him definitely affects his kids. Mm-hmm. And I know there's a lot of victims involved in it, and whatever affects them affects their kids. So it's not a good thing to be talking about any about the next person. But it's not a gray area with me.
Now, I think anybody can empathize with children being impacted by their parents' situation and trauma. As the interview went on, talk turned to the freak-offs. Those are, of course, the alleged parties that were described in Cassie Ventura's civil lawsuits and that the U.S. attorney described when announcing the indictment.
The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years.
All right, so this how I look at it like this, right? Yeah, Diddy, but y'all got, what people not saying, man, she could have left, bro. She could have left. She did not have to stay. Everything that she did by choice, not by force. It's crazy that, he did some wrong stuff, right? But at the same time, let's be honest. She wanted a lifestyle. This is 50 Shades of Grey. You know what I'm saying? Look, she got paid for whatever she was going through. She did not have to stay. She was with that man for years. This has been transpiring year after year after year. Excuse me. How the hell could y'all say she's the fucking victim when she was financially getting taken care of? See what I'm saying? So it's cool to look, man. I don't agree with what he did, but it's cool to take this money, millions of dollars from this man, and act like you're a victim and not own up to no accountability. That's not solid. She knew what she was doing. She wanted a lifestyle. He was able to provide it, but he was a weirdo. She accepted it. You see what I'm saying? But once all these laws pass in and, you know what I'm saying? Oh, girl, know your worth. Girl, know your value. and a man ain't shit and get him for all his money and all that shit. Women been taking advantage of that. You know, I'm not biased in this situation. I just feel like this, man. At the same time, you know, when you asked her, why did you participate in these type of environments? You could have easily left. Man, that man was on the road. He was doing shows, tours. Like, ain't like you had a bodyguard with you 24/7, 7 days a week. You could have easily left, never went back. And you know what I'm saying? Filed a police report. You could have made claims back then, but you didn't. Why would you wait this long? Somebody gave you a heads up he was going down and you want to cash out and get that ticket. That's why I say, you know, she got to take accountability in this. She's not just a victim. But yeah, was she victimized? Absolutely. She was definitely victimized. But a lot of this was, you know, pro-choice. Let's go.
Alleged Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the—
Man, a lot of people said they hit Cassie, man. A lot of Cassie was, come on, man. Come on, man. There were no gun in them rooms when you was, man, she liked it, that shit. You know, she was a drug addict, man. A lot of people already contested that Cassie get down. You know what I'm saying? And everybody said, oh, she's a good person. See, the pretty face to fool you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's messed up what she went through, but at the same time, look how just men just always get railroaded. Like she's coming out heroic. You know what I'm saying? And you know, a lot of empathy is poured into her because it was as if, like, you know, she did all those things because of him. Oh, he groomed her. Man, she was a grown woman. You know what I'm saying? She had no problem with them luxury lifestyles and all that shit. He might have had her in a messed up contract. She could have walked away from that. Filed charges, went through the legal system. She didn't do it. Let's go.
The sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs, and that Combs hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims, at times by their hair. On one occasion in March of 2016, that conduct was captured on video.
It just sounds like Diddy is being scrutinized and accused of being a freak. You see what I'm saying? A man with power who likes to do sexual devious things, man. You see what I'm saying? And people sign NDAs. They want that lifestyle. They want the industry. They want to know the feeling, the vibrations of it. And shit, some of these people was if they was paid. All right, he liked chili on his hot dog. Yeah, he liked chili on his hot. That's that man's prerogative. You know what I'm saying? You ain't going in that man's rectum. So what's the? I gotta understand something, man. Look, man, it's 2025, man. All I hear is that this man is in prison for being a freak. You know what I'm saying? If Cassie wanted to press civil charges, it would have been civil. I mean, assault charges. It would have been that. She didn't. Let's go. But they still talking about it.
And later reported in the media. Specifically, Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a victim in a Los Angeles hotel when the victim was attempting to flee. As alleged, these assaults often resulted in injuries to the victims, which took days or weeks to heal. In addition to the violence, the indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims. And the indictment alleges that he maintained control over the victims in several ways, including by giving them drugs, by giving and threatening to take away financial support or housing, by promising them career opportunities, by monitoring their whereabouts, and even by dictating their physical appearance.
days-long sex parties with sex workers where participants sometimes needed IVs to recover. It sounds awful. Suge Knight talked about where he thinks Sean Combs came up with this type of thing.
And at the same time, Puffy didn't react or get where he got or doing those things or those allegations by himself. He was taught from people before him, and he did it to the younger people after him. And we can talk all day and say what's true and what's not true. Only true part about it is videos, conversations, and people can see what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
But for it being happy and proud and say what do people think, that's irrelevant.
So Suge Knight basically claims that Sean Combs learned this behavior from other higher-ups in the record industry based on how he was treated when he was younger.
Is that what you're suggesting about Sean Combs, that he was sexually abused and he now sexually abuses?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think he repeat what was done to him. And like I said, if you look at Russell Simmons, you know the truth. Andre Rail, you know the
get
truth.
it, man. You know the old saying, hurt people, right? Diddy ain't came out with that. I get it. He's saying he think, but at the same time, man, I think everybody go through untreated trauma. I think Diddy, if he's convicted, he should take his time like a man. You see what I'm saying? You can't say only God can judge and escape accountability, homie. You just can't do it. Diddy been in there a little while now, homie. You know what I'm saying? He's been in there a little while. You know what I'm saying? He feeling it. You know what I'm saying? Nigga 30 grand that guards, let me up out of here. Nah, nigga, nah, man. I'm Diddy. Shake that. Let me up out of here, baby. But no, man, look, man, this just goes to show nobody's exonerated from this game, man. Nobody's exonerated. You could get it too. We're seeing this in 4K. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, he ain't all his sexual desires and shit that he was doing. You ain't doing it now, ain't you? Yeah, look at you looking at. Yeah, you ain't, I know what you in there doing, man. You in there crying in the bed and shit. But nah, man, this it's crazy, man. I don't wish jail on anybody, but you know, a lot of this is the oversight of it is a little too extra. Let's go.
Clyde Davis, you know the truth. Jimmy Iovine, you know the truth. It was at a point where it's like a whole sex trade because you take Nicole from the Pussycat Dolls, she used to push the line for people to participate. She was messing with Jimmy Iovine when Jimmy Iovine was married to one of the most incredible women in the world named Vicky, and she used to go around and sing that song and change the lyrics to make it put Vicky down. So there's not certain things that all of a sudden you got this. The industry is a quick business. It's been like that for a long time. Mm. And the casting couch is real, but it's for women and men. But far from all that, I think the most important thing is I feel like they should let Puffy tell his truth. I'm quite sure he's going to expose a lot of people. I'm sure he's going to move forward with it. But I don't think it should be a situation like the Epstein thing where they found him hanging from the ceiling and dead before the truth come out. So, first of all, you got to start with at the top. If you're starting with the top, Clyde Davis, Russell Simmons, Andre Rail, Jimmy Iovine. Even if you take Jimmy Iovine, he had an allegation from him, same thing, he went away. You take Jimmy Iovine. They told me at Universal and Interscope, they said, you know what? We can't deal with artists that gets in trouble. And your artist gets in trouble, they talk crazy.
So that's a really bold claim being made against other record executives, some really big names. Clive Davis vehemently denied the allegation in a statement to Cuomo, saying, "This is a completely fabricated thread being trafficked by an incarcerated felon. Mr. Knight's assertions about Clive Davis are 100% false, as nothing of the sort ever happened." But what is interesting is Suge Knight is not the
See, that's what that PR do for you. When you got that publicist will come and clean up house, man. You understand what I'm saying? Look, that PR, boy, damage control. Yeah, nigga, I said they come in and say they use the fancy words and make a statement for you and shit. And boy, that's how it get done, man. Let's go. Clyde Davis ain't going for that shit.
first person to suggest Sean Combs learned this behavior. Listen to what Combs's former bodyguard, Gene Deal, told the Art of Dialogue podcast recently.
When they get down to all the facts and all what happened, he may belong in jail, bro. And that's not my doing. That's not Cassie doing. That's his doing and his learned behavior from the people that mentored him. You got to realize, man, he learned from Andre Harrell. He learned from Russell Simmons. He learned from Clyde Davis. You understand? When those people are telling you that they were heavy into the drugs, they was heavy into beating women and doing things at that age, at that crazy stage, that's going to make him think that he could get away with the same thing that they was getting away with back then. You understand? The things that he was saying, you know, the touchy-feely between two men and all that stuff like that, man. All that, he learned that from them dudes.
I ain't fucking with
So
it.
those are two people who knew Sean Combs, saying that Sean Combs learned this behavior which Sean Combs' attorney at this point has called consensual. Knight then offered his thoughts on the freak-offs.
Well, number one, luckily, I wasn't their first choice, their second choice. I wasn't no choice to be at those freaky parties. But you know what they show. They used to have a thing in the industry, right? And the sad thing about it, I don't like mentioning Usher. I don't like mentioning Justin Bieber. I don't like mentioning all these people that everybody know what time it is. So at the same time, they used to have a joke. They never played this joke with me. And they used to walk in the Interscope office. They'd go back there and they'd be like, hey, will you pass the test? I said, we haven't did the test. One dude said, well, don't say that in front of Mr. Knight because he's going to take it offensive and hurt somebody. I said, well, whatever it is, I probably will take it offensive when somebody will get their ass whooped. You know, that was me in those days. But they used to have these guys, they used to call it the boiled egg test. They could take a boiled egg, a raw boiled egg, and have those guys put their pants down and bend over and they stick it up. The eggs break, they say they're not ready yet. They ain't put enough work in. This is Hollywood. So everybody want to go act like they don't know what's going on.
Hold on a second.
But
Suge.
if you just look, that's all you got to do is
Man, that is just absurd, man. That is what are you saying? What is he saying? That they some street nigga that's looking for a deal. They tell him put down his pants and put an egg in his ass, and if it break, he not ready. What the fuck do that mean, man? What do that mean? What do that mean? That is just disgusting. I ain't even heard. That's one for the books, man. I ain't never heard of no shit like that. God, nigga, you know, should not be lying and shit. That said he had those allegations himself, man. So, you know, you kind of, you know, this is some extreme shit that you're alluding to. Let's go.
I have never heard of anything like that. So if I haven't heard about it, just assume a lot of people haven't heard that before. But you think it's on video?
Let's stop for a second.
Go ahead, Suge.
Yeah, listen, and also, have you ever been to any puppy parties?
No.
You sure they had a long time to think about it. But if you haven't been in those butt naked parties, even some of the preachers been in those parties, and they wasn't on their knees praying for God. See, they was praying for somebody to have come real quick or something. But I wasn't there, but there's proof of it. But at the same time, everybody want to look around and act like something going on that wasn't right. It's the facts of life in the industry.
So that was kind of graphic, but this is.
Yeah, let me get up out of there, man. You know, it's just absurd, man. That's crazy, but man, that's a lot of these niggas. They're only in the industry because some people think that that's life, man. That ain't fucking life, bro. You know what I'm saying? Life is way more than a Diddy party, any celebrity party, man. You niggas is over here alluding to putting eggs in your, cracking eggs with your ass and shit. No, man, that's enough for me. Anyway, y'all drop y'all opinions in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. And I'm going to see y'all on the next one. I will be dropping more content on this channel. Make sure y'all pull up. We coming. Let go. And we are out of here, gang.